Supply drops are arguably the most hated thing that was once in COD besides the jetpack era, but I believe that supply drops should be back in COD. Let me explain this a little more before you start getting mad at me. So as most of you know, supply drops were once in COD and pretty much they randomly gave you 1 to 3 items that was purely RNG. Now, most of the time these items were filler garbage items that no one wanted, but every now and then you would get a really nice item from these supply drops, and this is where my main argument comes in. Now this argument does apply mainly to my free player users. Now obviously with Activision, they would allow you to buy these supply drops supposing they come back in for an unlimited amount, but for my paying users, you don't have to do that, since with bringing in supply drops again, we will also have to keep the same microtransaction system we see now with the battle pass and the in-game store. If we don't get to keep the new microtransaction system we have now, then this whole idea I have will practically fail, but if we ever do get this style of microtransactions, not only will Activision get more money, but free players would be able to enjoy getting stuff for free from supply drops, as you got them every 4 or so games from past CODs. Now what I'm getting at here mainly is for my free players, and I know how it feels since I never once bought a supply drop in my entire life, and I only just recently bought the battle pass, so I had to go through those supply drops daily without spending a dime on them and relying solely on RNG. But with these supply drops added again, free players will gain the chance to get cool cosmetics again. For example, here in Black Ops 4, I never spent another dollar on the game besides the $60 it cost, and throughout the game, I got all kinds of cool cosmetic stuff that I can rock for completely free, from character skins to mastercrafts and reactive camos, just the whole plethora of stuff. This is why I want supply drops back into the game. Now, yes, I know you can't get free stuff from the battle pass, the only problem with that is that 99% of the free stuff you get is garbage that you won't use. Each battle pass you will have to get to tier 80 or so to get maybe 1 or 2 things that you want that you'll maybe rock for a week or 2. The same thing of course applies here for supply drops. Most things you will get will most likely be never used and are going to be garbage, but those few times when you get a really nice skin or mastercraft gun, I bet you're going to use them quite a lot, just like I did back in the previous CODs. Of course now we still do have the in-game store that does have all the reactive camos and mastercrafts. The only problem here is that usually they cost almost half the cost of the game, and most people don't want to spend that kind of money on this game because you're paying $24 for essentially one skin you're going to use, and that is personally, in my opinion, and most likely many others' opinions, very overpriced. Now granted, you do get 5 or 4 other things included in the bundle, just no one wants the other stuff. Let's keep it real. Most people are getting the bundle for that one gun and won't touch the other stuff at all, or if they do, they're going to touch it for a couple weeks and replace it. This is where the supply drops come in. They allow people that can't spend that kind of money on this game or don't want to spend that kind of money on the game to have the ability to have the possibility to obtain that mastercraft or blue plan with the rare chance you get it through the supply drops. Of course, you do have to make the chance of getting these cool items extremely rare so people don't just spend money on supply drops and get the skin for half the price. You still want the bundle itself being the most convenient and cheapest option out there, but allowing free players to get more things and cooler things for free instead of relying on 5 things in the battle pass will definitely bring in more players again, and might even get some of them to spend money in the in-game store, as if you do get something cool out of the supply drop, they might be more inclined to buy something from the store. Also, you do have to keep the in-game store that we have now, as I said before, so paying users can just buy what they want and get exactly what they want and know what they're getting, because paying for supply drops to rely purely on RNG to get what you want is where I personally believe the supply drop system fails. That's not how this should work, but you should also allow people to buy the supply drops regardless, because the content on YouTube that can be made from them will be great, and it's just extra money for Activision. Now again, we do want to make supply drops not as convenient and cheaper than the actual in-game store. We want to keep that as the best stuff, so most people are using that. We just want to have supply drops on the side as a little nice addition to it. But one last thing though is that we want to keep every DLC weapon out of supply drops and keep them free like they are now. Having DLC weapons and supply drops was terrible, and that's another thing that definitely failed the supply drop system. Keeping them free like they are now, keeping them in the battle pass, or making them challenges is definitely what they should be like. But if you are enjoying videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more Cold War content like this, and don't worry, as it's always free to subscribe, and you can always unsubscribe later. But this system though, that I think could be good with supply drops, is a two-way road, as I keep saying. You have to keep the in-game store we have now and rework the supply drop so it's less profitable for people to buy, but also allows free players to have other sources of content that aren't locked behind a paywall. The one thing that I think is missing from the supply drop days is the enjoyment free players got from the occasional skins they got for completely free. Really, all I want here is to have players that buy cosmetics from the in-game store to enjoy their stuff and whatever they get, and for free players that don't have the money to spend or don't want to buy the bundles in the store to be able to have another chance to get the cool stuff as well, that is also locked behind the paywall of the in-game store. And if you think about it, the skins that were once locked behind a paywall from supply drops are now locked behind a paywall again, just at least this time you know what you're getting when you pay for it. Overall though, I think it would be a nice addition to bring back supply drops for people that can't afford any of the stuff in the bundles or don't want to buy the bundles, so that they can have another chance at getting stuff they want or other cool stuff that they can also get that doesn't look completely awful. Or maybe we get another system that also rewards free players with cool cosmetics, or allow people to buy specific blueprints from bundles instead of being forced to buy all of it, because I'm not gonna lie, that $24 for one gun that you're gonna use is pretty outrageous. I do also know that you do get free COD points from doing the battle pass as a free player, but you only get 300 COD points per season, and assuming you complete the battle pass all the way through, that's not even enough to get a 500 COD point bundle in the store, which always has the worst stuff in it. If you do the math and let's say you want a bundle that costs 2,000 COD points, you will have to complete 7 seasons all the way through, and from what we've seen, there are only 5 to 6 seasons in the entirety of a COD's life, so by the time you get however much you want, the new COD will be coming out, and that bundle you want is practically useless as a new COD comes out, and you probably will switch over to that. So as I keep saying, I simply just want to see a way that free players can get a chance at getting cool cosmetics instead of being forced to pay however much it is for whatever reactive skin or mastercraft they want. And we all know Activision won't be giving out free reactive camos or mastercrafts at all. They always leave the less worthy stuff to free players, so they would either buy it or just keep taking it. And personally, as I know from past CODs, not being able to afford all the cool stuff or having all the cool stuff is a real downer, and it honestly just makes you not want to play the game since everyone has all this cool stuff and you can't use it because you either don't have the money or you don't want to spend the money to do it. So all I want to see is just the ability to have paying users to have what they want and free players to be able to have the chance to get cool stuff, because as we see it now, while yes, free players do get cool stuff occasionally from the battle pass, most of it you won't use. I think the only cool things that were free in this battle pass on season 2 was a KSP blueprint that is a very mediocre blueprint that isn't that great, and a watch that does count your steps. That was the only 2 cool things that were free from this battle pass besides the COD points you got. But if you did enjoy the video, a like is greatly appreciated and sub means even more. But until next time, see ya.